Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
Would you like to sample some of my nuts?
You can run your miles, but you ain't got what's been earned through trials. It ain't in the gym, ain't in the youth. It's in busting knuckles and hard-lived truth. Back's been sore since 99, but I still stack wood and I still outgrind. Call me slow, call me old, but I got hands that could bend pure gold. Ain't about muscle, ain't about speed. It's about the fire when the time comes to lead. You can talk real tough, you can flex real wide, but when it's time to dig in, boys, step aside. Old man strength, built to last. Years of work, no need for class. Ain't no quit, ain't no doubt. You don't know tough till you've been worn out.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Old Man Strength, brought to you by the Andrew Downs AKC Marketing Studio live, and by Revelton Distilling Company, Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage, and Dan Douglas at Greenberry Realty. I'm your host, Chris Shipley, back fresh from vacation, as always with my partner, Aaron Wall. Aaron, who's probably preparing for his Dublin trip, I would imagine. Aaron, how are you?
Not preparing yet. I've been super busy with my 9-to-5 job. I've driven 3,500 miles in the last 4 weeks.
Jeez, that sounds terrible.
And yeah, so I've been on the road a lot. Haven't even thought about preparing for Dublin yet. But you know, it's the way it goes. It's good to be busy.
Yeah, absolutely. I just got back from vacation, went to Michigan, stayed in a little lake house on a private lake right in the middle of Michigan, and then kind of did little day trips to Great Lakes and to Lake Huron and Lake Michigan and Traverse City and Bay City. It was kind of nice. So a lot of time in the car this last week too for me. But I don't mind driving so much. So
No, I don't mind the driving either, but you know, when you drive 5 hours to get to the first place you're going to stop, and then have 7 stops that day, and then, you know, get to your hotel room at like 7 at night when you left your house at 5 a.m. and you do that 2 or 3, 4 days a week, it gets old. So, you know, it's the way it goes. We have not checked in on this for a while.
Yes.
Are you still doing your weight loss stuff?
I am. I've kind of hit a plateau. Last I weighed in was at 256. So as a total, I am down 73 pounds.
That's
I
great.
think I think I've lost 10 pounds since I stopped Farrell's, but to be honest, summer's hit. I've done some day drinking, barbecuing, things like that. So, but I've kind of, and I knew vacation was coming up. I went on a couple of vacations. I've been in Vegas for work. So it's been kind of not super great for me to be consistent, but I haven't gained anything. So I'll take that.
Yeah, well, that's great. I'm down. I think, when did we start talking about this? Beginning of this year. I think I'm down about 10 pounds. I am 1 pound lighter than you as of what I weighed on the scale today.
No way. Wow.
Yep. I
That's
was
crazy.
255. So, but I'm not exercising at all, other than walking when I play golf. So,
Well, I mean, full disclosure, I haven't weighed since I've been back from vacation either. So who knows?
well, vacation weight doesn't count. It's
Right.
vacation.
I'll give it another week to take that off, and then I'll weigh in on Saturday and see how it goes.
Right on. Well, good job.
Thanks. You too. All right. Let's go ahead and bring on our guest. This was I know this has been a long time coming. I've talked to Jake a couple times back and forth, saw him at some events. Always say I need to get him on here, and then just things happen, whatever else. But this seems like the perfect time. He made a switch over to Cyclone Fanatic. So that fits right in our wheelhouse here at Old Man Strength, as we're big Cyclone fans and Cyclone grads. So thought we'd bring on our next guest tonight, Jake Brend, newest member of Cyclone Fanatic, formerly WOI TV, right? So
yep.
We just had your colleague Chris Kubal on about 2 months ago from WOI. So welcome to Old Man Strength. Thanks for hopping on.
Thanks for having me, guys. Chris was probably close to you than a couple miles.
Yes. Yeah. Not too bad. Yeah. He lives in Norwalk. I've seen him at the gym a couple times. So he was on my side in the whole wind chill argument, by the way, just so we can, if we want to reach that.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, thanks for bringing me on. I'm excited to do it.
Yeah. So normally what we do here is this is a podcast about two old men. So naturally we always kind of start with Jake. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you grew up, and where you started, and something, a little bit about your parents and things like that.
Yeah. So I was born in Des Moines, but I was, by letter of the law, born and raised in Indianola, Iowa. Grew up there first 18 years of my life, thought that's all I'd live there, and then decided to go to Simpson in Indianola. So I lived there for the first 22-ish years of my life. But Indianola was great. I like to call it the biggest small town in the state, because there's no way in good faith I can call it a small town, because my dad is from a small town of Auburn, Iowa, population like 250. So that's a small town. But I still grew up in one of those towns where it feels like everybody knows everybody. And I like to think that's a good quality about me, where I like to know a lot of people and be Iowa nice. And I know a lot of people who are Iowa nice. I'd say, parents, obviously, just the best. My mom and dad, love them to death. Great step parents as well. Just have had a ton of great people in my life that have really not only pushed me to be where I am today, but guide me along the way and inspire me kind of every step of the way too.
All right. Well, I got a question for both of you, because this brings up a subject that my wife and I disagree about. What qualifies as small town?
It's gray area, because we were actually talking about this in the Iowa Everywhere group chat a couple weeks ago. Chris Hassel called Ottumwa a small town.
No way. That's not a small town.
And that's what I said. But his reasoning was like, it's still a place where it's small enough to where everybody knows everybody and nobody has secrets and all that. And I kind of got that, but I don't know if there's an arbitrary number. I don't know if the cutoff is 5,000, if it's 10,000. I mean, Indianola was 15,000 people, which is, I don't think it's a small town. That's why I call it the biggest small town, because there's no way that it's the smallest big town in Iowa. I don't know. Maybe, is it radius from a big city? Like Indianola has a bunch of farmland away from Des Moines, so is that what quantifies it? I don't know. I'm interested in your thoughts.
I'm going to go with something different as far as definition wise. I'm going to go with, does it have a town square? And is there a main hub in the middle of the town? Like that to me is what a small town is, right? So Indianola, I guess, would count. They've got that town square.
Yep, nice square.
You can drive through Indianola probably straight through in less than 5 minutes. Like that kind of a deal, right? I feel like Ottumwa, if you have to say, hey, I live on the south side of Ottumwa, or if there's it, then that's too big of a town. Like that's not a small town. Norwalk is the same way. Norwalk doesn't really have, to me, it's so close to Des Moines, it's not really a small town.
Yeah, it's becoming more of a
suburb. Yeah,
right,
for sure.
Right. So at one point it was a small town, I think, but not now. But I feel like it's got to have, the small little central square the courthouse in the middle, or you've got a good example is Milo. I don't know if you've ever driven to Milo before.
Oh, I pretty much live in my parents
Okay.
pretty much live in Milo.
Okay, well, I grew up down in that area too. I grew up in Lacona and Milo in my younger years.
Wow.
So
Okay. Small world.
Yeah. So to me, and when you go into that main strip in Milo and they have that brick thing that's in the middle of the street,
Yep.
and you drive around it, that's a small town.
An unofficial roundabout.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think for me a big factor is whether it's a commuter town or not. Like, does half the people that live in town work in the city that's 20 minutes away? Like a Perry, right? A bunch of those people drive into West Des Moines or Adel, right? It's still technically a small town, numerically speaking, but it's not isolated enough to be a true small town, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. So Van Meter probably wouldn't qualify, even though Van Meter's probably like population 2,000, but I'm going to guess almost everybody there works in Des Moines or at least in a suburb.
Right. A lot of it. I figure, a fair percentage. I mean, but the reason I ask this is because my wife always says she's from a small town in Texas. She's from fucking Texarkana, which is like 100,000 people. I'm like, eat shit. That is not a small town. It's not even in the realm of small town. Like, I grew up just out, and when I lived in Missouri, I lived 5 miles outside of a town of 300. And then when I lived in Iowa, we had like 1,500 in town, right? But even that town's borderline at this point, probably being a commuter town to the Quad Cities or Iowa City, because it's right in the middle of the two.
I guess I just thought of another way to measure, and this would qualify my hometown. Did kids at the high school drive their tractor to school? That happened at Indianola High School. So
I don't think that's happened here in Norwalk.
It's probably not happening in Ankeny or anything like that.
Liberty Center definitely, it's happened in Liberty Center.
Oh
yeah. I have friends that live outside of Liberty Center, and they might consist of 3/4 of the town population of Liberty Center. So to me, I also think that it would quantify. I mean, let's be honest. Town Facebook pages make everybody know what everybody's business is.
That's true.
So I don't know that counts as a rec web.
Yeah, and like families, there are just certain families in every town, in every city that everybody knows.
If half the town has the same last name,
that's what I was going to say. Half the town, and there's only 3 surnames, then it's a small town.
The Lingenfelters or whatever, own all the businesses and are 3/4 of the population.
My sister, two of my sisters married into 2 different families down there outside of Liberty Center, Lacona area. One was a Rebarger family, and the other one was the Neer family. And I can tell you that was probably half of the population down there. Like, everybody's last name was Rebarger, it seemed like. Couldn't find one here in Des Moines. Would have no idea. So.
Anyways, sorry. Sidebar. Jake, continue.
Yeah, what was the question again?
You're still telling us a little bit about yourself and whatnot.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You wanted a piece of advice that I would get from parents. So I think back, I shared this on my Local 5 farewell video, but when I was in either 4th or 5th grade, I was on the same Little League team as my younger brother, who was 2 years younger than me, and I probably was 6 inches taller, stronger, and he got named to the Little League All-Star team, and I didn't, and it was the same team, so he beat me out. It wasn't like he made it for his age group and I didn't for mine. Like, it was all the same team. And I just remember that night, I was devastated, as everybody was. I grew up wanting to go play at Wrigley Field, wanted to be in the big leagues. I even had a big leaguer in town to look up to. And it was that night where my mom and dad sat me down and they're like, your dream probably shouldn't be the MLB or the NFL or the NBA. You've got these other skills and these other talents that I've always loved, not only like talking about sports, but analyzing sports and analyzing the stats and Moneyball. And it was really that day forward that my parents really just pushed me in this direction and did all they could to give me resources and give me motivation and give me advice and set up. One of my mom's old coworkers is now I believe he's the head of PR for MLB. And when I was in high school, she just set up a phone call with me to like have him help me with an example resume and cover letter and stuff like that have just, it's gone such a long way. So to be able to have parents that are honest with me and didn't just like, oh no, you're just waiting on your growth spurt. You're just like, well, once you hit your growth spurt, then don't worry, you'll be first in line for a scholarship to go play baseball in the SEC. They didn't tell me that because it's true, and I know maybe there are probably some kids who are less fortunate that were told that.
Sure.
And then you hit your senior year of high school and you don't really have any offers from anywhere, and you're devastated. So I was very lucky to be able to have that honesty and be pushed towards my passion at such a young age.
So when you graduated from high school, you went to Simpson.
Yep.
Was there any discussion, any thoughts on your end of going somewhere outside of Indianola, or was it just something you just wanted to be home and be closer to?
No, I didn't want to be home. I didn't want to be close to home. So I actually had like signed papers to go to Iowa State. My whole life, I knew I was going to go to Iowa State. I wanted to go to Iowa State. I had a couple of other schools, like even before Simpson, that I really heavily considered. Northwestern St. Paul, a small school up in Minneapolis, and then Northwest Missouri State I took a really hard look at. And then it was just like, you know what? I'm going to Iowa State. I've always dreamed about it. And I didn't have anything against their journalism program or anything like that. Because I'm like, yeah, I'm going. I had a roommate and everything. And then at the very last second, I'd already given just a courtesy visit to Simpson because I knew a lot of people in the community from there, and be like, you know what? It wouldn't be fair if I just didn't even consider it. And I took a visit. I'm like, yeah, that was good, but I don't want to stay in my hometown. And then pretty much right around the deadline of when you've got to decide of where you're going to school, I got a call from one of the journalism professors and the sports information director. And they called me into his office, and it was like I was a 5-star recruit. And they were like, these are the promises that like you'll be able to do this play-by-play. You'll be able to write this for the Simpsonian at this point. And pretty much they just sold me on, you'll get to do everything and more faster than anywhere else. And they wanted me to come do that because I'd already done some play-by-play in high school, and I was writing for Wide Right Natty Light in high school. So they had an incentive to just want me. And that was something that left an impact where I'm like, the people I met at Iowa State when I visited were really nice, but honestly, they probably didn't know my name. So the fact that I got called in and was treated like a 5-star recruit was a pretty unmatched feeling, and it won me over. And then I'm really glad that I stayed in my hometown. Like I never thought I'd say that, but I absolutely loved it.
So you were Brock Purdy, and Alabama was Iowa State and Nick Saban. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that is a pretty good comparison, because I still think if I went to Iowa State, I would have had success, but it probably wouldn't have been the same timeline exactly, because I mean, I was working at Local 5 full time as a senior in college, and that was because day one when I showed up to Simpson, I was writing on the student newspaper, and by my second year, I was the sports editor. Typically, the line at a bigger school, not just singling out Iowa State, is maybe sophomore year you get in as a general reporter, and then maybe your junior year you can be in that leadership role, and then hopefully for sure your senior role you're senior year, you're in that leadership role. Where at Simpson, it was like I had nothing. I really felt like I had nothing else to learn from a school perspective after my first 2 years. At that point, it was just go out, get internships, and learn in the field. And I was able to get an internship with Keith, Mark, and John over at WHO when I was 20, I guess even 19. And that just put me way ahead of the curve, where I was able to be in the right place at the right time when the local 5 position came open.
Speaking of Keith and you working there, it's dawned on me when you just told that story. What do you think there's the famous Hayden Fry coaching tree, and the coaching tree of like Bill Walsh. What do you think the media tree is of Keith Murphy?
Oh my gosh. So there's me, which I'm not listing myself as main billing. I'm just saying that because it's off the top of my head. I know me. There's Chris Williams.
Yeah, because he was an intern at one point for him.
He was an intern. There was, Andy Fales is by definition a Keith Murphy assistant coach, whatever you want to have it. Todd Bailey, he's the longtime sports information director at Grandview. There's plenty of other interns that maybe aren't in sports media anymore, but
yeah,
I've met so many guys just like at an Iowa State game or even like Cyclone Fanatic events. And I'm like, oh yeah, I was one of Murph's old interns, and now I'm running this really successful local business. And it just goes all the way up and down. Like AD, with AKC marketing, he learned a lot of, he was doing a lot of different stuff, and he taught Keith plenty on the technical side. But as far as like being on the radio, and like Chris Hassel, he's on CBS, and Hassel's got a lot of talent that can't really be taught. But if he didn't have Keith Murphy, he probably would have been fired within 3 years.
Hassel doesn't listen to this podcast
for some of the content that he was putting on Sound Off, and that's just where I joke with Hassel. He's the absolute best, and he is a genius. And if he wasn't on CBS HQ, he should maybe be in Hollywood for as good of an actor. But that's where you've got to give Murphy credit, is he sees people's strengths and he sets them up like no other.
Yeah.
We were talking about this at a Bryce Miller Celebration of Life, and we were just like, I wish it'd work out sometime for us to do a podcast together, because for as much time as we've spent together and as much time as I've spent learning from him, we were never on Sound Off together at the same time, really.
Right.
And we've never really done anything together. What I was talking is like, Keith, you've been the one setting people up on the tee for like 50 years. Maybe not 50. He'll kill me if he hears that. Like 40 years. Like maybe it's time someone sets you up on a tee, and you can be more if you're wanting to treat a podcast or a radio show like it's a broadcast booth, maybe sometime you need to be the color guy, because you're always the play-by-play and you're always steering the show. And that's just who Keith is. His tree is obviously a byproduct of a lot of really talented and hardworking people, but it's a bunch of talented and hardworking people that have just been set up left and right by one of the best point guards of all time, and that's Keith.
Yeah. We had Chris Hassel on a couple, I think it was 2 years ago, and he told a story of one night Keith had told him that he couldn't leave. He was going on vacation, but he couldn't leave until he did some skit about the Heisman or something like this. And
was this the one where he jumped through the wall?
Yes, where he jumped through the wall or whatever. And so, of course, I cut that clip and put it out the next day, and within 20 minutes, Keith Murphy had retweeted it and found the footage and had played the footage on Twitter. And I was like, that's amazing that he was able to find it that fast and knew what we were talking about.
Yeah, the longer we get from that era of Sound Off, the more I can't wait for them to talk about it and talk about the behind the scenes and maybe what went on from management down.
Right.
Because I don't really think those stories are public yet. And when Keith does inevitably retire one day and he doesn't really have to answer to any management, like I'm really excited for those stories for the general public to know those stories, because man, some of the stuff that Hassel would put him through, it's just incredible.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think what we're gonna do is let's go ahead and take a break. We used to take a break right around this time. Then when we come back, let's talk about you moving into your transition, graduating from college, starting your first job at WOI, and how that all evolved. So let's get a word from a couple of our sponsors, Revelton Distilling Company, and then Greenberry Realty with Dan Douglas, and we'll be right back with Jake Brend.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com.
When energy meets precision, anything is possible.
I'm Carter Hawley, the Chief Energy Officer of the Iowa State Cyclones. I'm full of energy on and off the court, but nothing gives me more energy than helping families find their dream home. And that's where Green Beret Realty comes in. They're more than just realtors. They're a team dedicated to getting things right for you and your family, just like we get it right on the court.
No basket. That was on the floor before the shot. Out of bounds.
Come on! Can you believe that? You can't take that away from me.
That call was absolutely terrible. Are you guys cautiously trying to be this bad? I mean, does your mom not love you?
Have you seen how old my partner is? My back hurts already from carrying him all night. And I've heard enough out of you.
So you're gone. Fine.
Jim, are you blind? Basket's good. We've got a three-pointer. Sometimes it takes a team to get the call right. And when you're buying a home, you want a team that makes all the right calls. That is Green Beret Realty. And here's the best part. When you buy or sell a home through Dan at Green Beret Realty and mention this ad, he'll make a donation to the We Will Collective, helping student athletes like me thrive on and off the court.
That call's so easy, even we can make it.
Green Beret Realty, because getting the call right means everything.
All right, and we're back with our guest, Jake Brend, live from our AKC Andrew Downs Marketing Studios. Jake graduated from Simpson. Sounds like you already had an internship. What was the thought process of staying with WOI, or did you branch out, try to get a job somewhere else? How was that transition from college into what I like to call a real world job?
Well, so I had no choice. I was already under contract. So I'll take you through the timeline. So after my sophomore year, that's when I got my first internship at Sound Off with Keith, John, and Mark. Then I go back and I'm in charge of pretty much everything my junior year. And I didn't feel like my skills when I was at Sound Off the first time. I didn't feel like they were refined really at all. Like I was really just learning how to do it. And then I kind of got to go, it was like getting called up to the big leagues. And like Matt Shaw or PCA, you hit 150 for 3 weeks and then you get sent back down and you know what you've got to work on. And that's what I felt like I did the whole next year at Simpson. And then that's why I went back to Sound Off for in between my junior and senior year. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I was able to host Sound Off once, and I was able to put a bunch of these stories on my reel, and I was able to have true confidence in myself and be able to put that on a tape to send to places. And so this is June of my junior year summer, heading into senior year, and I'm at a softball game for work at, I think, Waukee Northwest, and I was talking to the guy at the time that was at Local 5, Colin Cahill, and it's just a normal question that people ask. It's like, "Oh, Colin, how long do you plan on staying in Des Moines?" And he's like, "Well, my last day is tomorrow." So it was kind of at that point where I'm like, oh man, a seed had been planted, and I knew that there might be potential to just even apply. And that was my goal, is I want to apply, and if I can even get in the interview, and if I don't get the job, if I can have a news director who's in this tell me, hey, this is what you need to do better, this is what you need to work on. Because it'd be ridiculous for someone who still had a year of full-time school left, it'd be ridiculous for that person to work full-time. But the way the chips fell, they needed someone pretty quick before football season started, and they didn't have to fly me out. They didn't have to pay my relocation fee or anything like that. And they took a chance on me before my full-time senior year of college. So I worked through my senior year, but I had signed a 3-year contract pretty much before I'd taken my last year of classes at Simpson. So it made my decision after college pretty easy, because
sure,
I couldn't go anywhere, and I didn't want to go anywhere either. I was very excited for that second year when I didn't have to worry about waking up to go to Discovering Music on Wednesday morning after I was covering a game at Hilton Coliseum. I was very excited to just experience just work and no school.
That's fair.
But it was it was crazy.
So then you were there for how long?
So I was at Local 5 for a little under 3 years. It'd be 3 years like this month, next month. I was there for like 2 years, 10 months, essentially.
Okay.
What was your, I always like to, I don't want to frame it as what was your welcome to the league moment, but tell a story of a time that you're fresh in this job, you've got a lot of pressure, and things don't necessarily go as planned.
So I'll have to think about that. So I'll just, as I'm sharing this story, I'll be thinking about it and stalling a little bit. But my welcome to the league moment was my first day on air was a Football Friday Night for Friday Night Blitz. So I didn't get to ease in with some 3-minute sports block on a Sunday night when nobody's watching. My first time in was an hour-long show on a Friday night. Remember, the gap between the 10 o'clock news and Friday Night Blitz is not even 90 seconds. So here I am. I've never put on like an IFB, the thing that goes in your ear so you can hear yourself in the producers. I'd never put one of those on. When I hosted Sound Off, John Sears put it on for me. I'd never really wore the studio mics. And here I am 10 seconds before the open rolls, and we've got our weather guy. He's like putting on the IFB for me. And in a way that helped, because there wasn't time to think. It was just go, 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 instinct. So now I've stalled long enough, and I've got to think what would be my
welcome. It's easy getting on the other end of it, is it, Jake? Where people ask you questions?
No, I'm caught off guard. That is tough.
We'll come back to it.
Yeah, ask me a question. I'll keep thinking of it in the back of my head, because I know I've got one.
I've got a question. We got
2 in the morning. No. You're going through the Taco Bell drive-thru. Oh.
Actually, that might be a good question. I want to hear the answer to that.
My Taco Bell order?
What's your Taco Bell order at 2 a.m.?
Oh man. It depends what day of the week it is. Mondays I like the no, I'm kidding. So
if
back in
you're
college.
If you're out at 2 a.m. that often that you have specific orders for each day, buddy, you may need to reevaluate some things.
So back in college, it was always whatever this was the cheapest. And they had those, they were called like spicy chicken quesadilla roll-ups. They were like honestly like the size of one of those old fruit roll-ups. They were not that big, but I'd get like 4 of those for $1 and always a large Baja Blast. Now if I'm hitting up Taco Bell at 2 a.m., I'm an adult.
So big money now. He's gonna get something decent now.
Yeah, I'm an adult, so I've got to be classy. So I love the steak quesarito. That's like one of my favorite fast food items in the world. So that's typically what I get. I still get a Baja Blast, and then if I'm just feeling more hungry than normal, that's when I'll just throw in like an extra taco or an extra small quesadilla or something like that. But the steak quesarito is the baseline of what I get typically.
This is the part of the show where I'm going to irritate the fuck out of Aaron and say,
let's see.
I have not eaten at a Taco Bell in probably 15 years.
Really?
So I can tell you what's on the menu or what's good or not.
That doesn't irritate me at all.
No, I thought for sure that would.
I mean, no, if I didn't travel for work, I probably wouldn't eat at Taco Bell anymore either.
I will say that especially my fast food in general from working in local news has gone down because I would eat it so much, and it wasn't always necessarily because I wanted to. It was just like you're on the road, it's a necessity. Like if I'm going to Iowa City, for example, for a Saturday game, and it's a 2:30 kick, I will pack myself like a ham and cheese sandwich, some chips, some fruit for the way there. But I'm leaving Kinnick at like 11 o'clock that night. So I'm not going to pack a second lunch to sit in my car all day. So then it's all right. Time to go get a 6-pack and a pound at Taco John's.
The superior taco place.
Yeah, so the superior taco place.
Now that I'm in the more independent, I feel like I eat fast food less, and I'm less obliged to go make my 2 a.m. Taco Bell run.
Well, let's do this then. I'm going to call an audible here. Let's pull a little page out of your book with Bigger Than 12 when you guys do your draft.
Oh,
let's have a little bit of a draft of fast food restaurants.
Oh, I love it.
So, Jake, I'll give you the first pick. We'll do 3 rounds. I'll give you the first pick. Fast food restaurants.
Oh,
Bebop's number 1. That's too easy. Yeah, I'm prepared because me and my buddies were having this conversation like a week ago. So I kind of like, I don't have it written down, but I've got a rough draft of like what I had as my top 10-ish. So yeah, I'll go Bebop's number 1. Fries, burger, milkshake, dip the fries in the shake. I'm golden.
Their fries,
absolutely love it.
I cannot stand their fries. Their burgers are great, but I cannot. Their fries are subpar.
Oh, yeah, unless they're in a milkshake, then they're incredible.
Okay, I will just tell you that if you have to dip them into something to make them good, then they're not good to begin with. That's
fair enough.
Rule. That's my rule.
Fair enough.
Aaron, your pick.
I'm going to take Wendy's.
Ooh, good, solid choice.
Because Wendy's is everywhere. That's the downside to Bebop's. You know, I live in Seattle. There is no Bebop, so I'm thinking more readily available. So Wendy's, the spicy chicken is the goat of chicken sandwiches at fast food restaurants. You can get a salad that's not good for you that you can put chili and stuff on, which is delicious. And then they have Frosties, so they have the whole gamut of things available. Wendy's, that's my first rounder.
My pick is going to be Hardee's, and specifically breakfast. they have hands down the best breakfast sandwiches.
Great call.
Their monster biscuit, which I have been known to eat 2 of them before. That was pre losing 70 pounds, by the way. And their hash browns. And then when that Coke Zero or Diet Coke hits after you've eaten all that salt and grease is the absolute best. So for me, my number one choice is Hardee's.
Yes, I just ate a 4,000-pound calorie burger. Let me have a diet soda.
That's because the sugar will mess me up, man.
Are we doing a snake draft? So do you get 2 picks in a row, Shipley?
Nope. You'll go back to the top of the.
Back to me. All right, I'll go. We were just talking about probably their rival, but I'm actually a Taco John's guy, so I got to go Taco John's. It's my second point.
Yeah.
Oh man, their potato olays to die for, and the 6-pack and a pound. I've probably eaten it by myself a little more times than I'd like to admit.
Beef and potato burrito is my go-to at Taco John's.
Maybe it gets docked a little bit. Pretty hard food to eat while driving.
That's why you get the burrito.
Yeah,
or
that's
you
true.
get the soft shell. You get the soft shell tacos. That's
what I get. I get the soft shell and
you just
the
end up
olays. But yeah, I'll go Taco John's number 2.
Okay. My second rounder, it's going to be Sonic.
Ooh,
that's.
I didn't see that one
I don't
coming.
even know if there's one in Des Moines anymore.
The burgers are good. You can get a chili dog, and limeades are an S tier beverage.
That's a good choice. It's a little off the board, but it's got a good variety.
Yeah, they've got good variety. There's a lot of options there. Plus, there's some nostalgia. The pulling up, getting served your car, and
yeah,
so
car hop style.
Second rounder, Sonic.
My second rounder is going to be Long John Silver's.
Wow.
Whoa. What?
Yes. I
want diarrhea.
We're not talking about after effects. We're talking about the dopamine that hits the first time you bite into that crispy fish with the malt liquor, with the malt vinegar on it.
Malt liquor on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I'll eat it.
True story. I got my first DoorDash coupons when I was working for a company about 4 years ago when we were having a virtual conference. And I'm scrolling through the DoorDash and I was like, wait, I can DoorDash Long John Silver's? Fuck yeah. Ordered like a 2-piece chicken and 3-piece fish. Got to add the clams. The clams are amazing. Ate them. Felt like shit for 3 hours afterwards. The next day, I'm scrolling through DoorDash. I think I'm going to get Long John Silver's again.
I'll be honest, bro. I probably haven't had Long John Silver's in like 15 years. I don't even know the last time I've.
I bet it's longer than that for me.
God,
easily.
Granted, it'll tear me up, and I'll have to take a 3-hour nap. But it's good stuff.
So my final pick, Aaron kind of hit on this part. At least they still do this at my hometown location. But A&W, they'll bring your food out to your car, and I absolutely love me some A&W. Obviously, it starts with the root beer floats, but then you throw in, they've got good burgers, they've got good chicken, they've got really good chili dogs, maybe a little bit under the radar there. I love me some A&W, and that's still got the old school fast food feel. I feel like an A&W hasn't really changed in my lifetime, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a throwback for sure. I'm torn on my last one. I have two that I'm debating for various reasons. I'm gonna go with Whataburger.
Oh, good call.
I
forgot about them.
It was either Whataburger or Arby's. They both have places in my heart for sure. But Whataburger, I think, is for me probably the best fast food burger that you can get, and shockingly, really good biscuits and gravy in the morning.
I would have never guessed.
I've eaten at a Whataburger once.
Well, they're just not. They're growing. They were just in Texas for a long time, basically,
and that's where I had them. Yeah,
and I lived there for a decade, so I had plenty of opportunities to eat Whataburger. But now they're expanding into other areas, much like In-N-Out is, growing their footprint. So you're not missing anything with In-N-Out, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, I agree. Overrated.
So I'm glad you didn't take Arby's, because that would have been my third.
That was my next one. That's what I was debating.
I thought about it as well.
The Arby's beef and cheddar.
Yep.
Is hands down the best sandwich out there on the market.
Beef and cheddar is an S tier sandwich for sure.
Their curly fries are the goat.
Like they got good shakes too.
You used to be able to get the 5 beef and cheddars for $5.
Yes.
The number of times I have eaten that is wrong. It's just wrong. But yeah, Arby's is a good choice.
Different times, 5 for $5. I'd kill for that right now.
Right? 5 for $5.
So it makes Quick Star elite. You can get kind of close to that now.
Yeah, Quick Star wasn't a thing when I lived in Iowa, so I don't know. I don't have any experience with it yet.
It's I don't get the allure for it. I just don't. I find their sandwiches subpar. I don't know why.
See, I find them just slightly above average, but you throw in the convenience of it and the price and how it's just hot and ready. It's good enough for me. On the gas station food curve.
Yeah, that
could be another draft.
That's a whole nother draft. Yeah.
Next time when I'm on.
There you go.
For sure.
All right. Well, we're going to get a word from another sponsor. This is usually the Kyle Lehman Wintrust Mortgage question to the pod. But we had a listener drop a question into the chat, so I'll use that for the question. So the way this works, Jake, is I'll read you the question. We'll go play an ad from our sponsor, Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage, and we'll come back. We'll get your answer. So Ward, shout out Ward from Norwalk, believe it or not. 5 years from now, what does Cyclone Fanatic look like? What's your vision? You're doing great already with content. So let's go ahead and get a word from Kyle Lehman, and then we'll come back with Jake's answer on the future of Cyclone Fanatic.
Awesome.
Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing your home, or if it's simply time to renovate the one you're already living in, you need an experienced mortgage professional to help you analyze your financing options and to make sure the closing goes smoothly. And that's exactly what you get when you call Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. Kyle's experience and expertise, coupled with Wintrust's rates and programs, ensures you'll get the mortgage that's right for you. You may even qualify for down payment assistance. Before you reach out to a realtor, call Kyle and get pre-qualified, empowering you to start shopping for the home of your dreams. Call Kyle at 515-473-0546. Kyle Lehman Wintrust Mortgage, 515-473-0546.
All right, we're back with the question of the pod, Kyle Lehman's Wintrust Mortgage question of the pod. 5 years from now, what does Cyclone Fanatic look like, and what's your vision for Cyclone Fanatic?
That is a great question, because it's probably something that I think about every single day, of what Chris, Aiden, Jacqueline, Rob, and I want this place to look like in 5 years. And it's a tough thing to think about, because you don't want to lose what it already is. And we always want it to be like the number one hub for Cyclone fans. We want it to be a place where people can know that they've got a voice on the message boards, and they've got a place to go after games and listen to great content. And the week of the games lead up, it's just a matter of the medium. And it's no secret that the written word is maybe becoming a bit extinct, which I hope is not the case, because we've got Rob Gray on the written word, who's one of the best ever. But in my case, I was not brought in to be a writer or just a writer. I write a little bit, and it's always a really good way to keep my brain exercising, and it is just a very good practice. But our goal is we want our YouTube page to be the biggest part of Cyclone Fanatic in the future. And there's been studies that have shown, even just in the last 2 or 3 years, the amount of people that are watching video podcasts on their TV, on their smart TVs, it's gone up 55%. Like that is, it went from 3 years ago, 5% of people were watching, say, the Bill Simmons podcast on their TV, and now that's up to 50 or 60%. And we've got those numbers at Iowa Everywhere in Cyclone Fanatic, and it's just leaning into that, because that trend, it's just going to continue to go up, and soon it's going to be more and more people. And so what we want is not only our video podcast to be better and to have more of them, but make our video content better. And that's why I've been doing this Cyclone Fanatic daily show, and that's not going anywhere. And that we're kind of treating as like the bare minimum of what do you need to know? Like, what do Cyclone fans on their way home from work need to know about Cyclone athletics that day? And sometimes in the middle of the summer, it's just kind of coming up with a fast food draft, right? Something like that, where it's, what are a few names on football, men's basketball, women's basketball that are getting overlooked this year? But during football and basketball season, it's going to be genuine reporting, and it won't be a lot of me talking, which is good for the viewer. It'll be, hey, I'm going to toss it to 2.5 minutes of Matt Campbell, Rocco Becht, and Ben Bramer previewing Cincinnati this week and stuff like that. And I just think the more and more that we can do that, and the more that we can deliver Cyclone fans the content they want in the medium that they're used to, I think that's just going to be better and better.
Sure.
All right, I got a question for you. We talk a lot about this at my current job as we're a growing company. You have to look around corners, right, to try to see what's coming. So podcasting, this independent free form thing, is turning into television, right, in a different way. Yeah. But that's what it is, because you go to YouTube in part because you can get ad revenue because of what they stack onto that, as well as your own sponsorships, which is what NFL Sunday Countdown is doing and everything else these days.
Yep.
So then what? Because at some point, and it's already happened, right? You've got Vox and other people buying up podcasts and Spotify and all these things, right? So you got these big conglomerates doing all the buying up again. It's always cyclical. But where do the creators go next? What's next?
So I think TikTok is probably the clear answer of what's next. And I still just don't see how that ever works in a long form way. And maybe it will. Maybe the future is places like TikTok and Twitch, where people are just going live for hours on end and people sit there and watch it. But I still don't view that as the future. And that's where I do think YouTube might have a 15, 20-year run, kind of like cable did. And I would guess whatever's next after that, we maybe aren't familiar with it yet. I do think when it comes to the buying out, I think eventually we're going to get back to a place where local media is locally owned again. And it's not stuff like what you guys are doing at Three Beards and stuff that we're doing at Iowa Everywhere and Cyclone Fanatic. I think my optimism is that hopefully won't be a unique thing one day, because we've seen it in our beloved Ames, their newspaper. is not really the Ames newspaper anymore. They don't have a radio station. And eventually, I think it's already happened where so-and-so conglomerate, I don't even know which one it is, just sees, there's no value in paying somebody a salary to broadcast out of Ames when we could just give them the Dan Patrick Show and Colin Cowherd and blah, blah, blah. I think eventually those places are going to start getting sold off again, or maybe built up in different ways, like Iowa Everywhere. And even Matt Randazzo's doing it over in the Quad Cities. I think we'll get back to a place where the local businesses will see the value in, oh yeah, we're putting our money towards people that are in our community, and it's going to them. And that money in turn is coming back to the community, and in turn back to the advertisers. And my goal is hopefully, like, sure, there will be stuff that gets bought out. That's just inevitable. But my goal is that Three Beards Media and Iowa Everywhere, my vision and goal is like that's a common thing for other cities to have. And being out, I was out at the National Sports Media convention in North Carolina a couple weeks ago, and there was an hour-long panel of these two old radio hosts in North Carolina. They got out of it 5 years ago in Greensboro, and they were describing this local sports talk on YouTube that they started, and it was pretty much, they were describing exactly what Iowa Everywhere is. So there are other people around the country that are seeing the trend, and I think hopefully in 15 years we can get to a point where there is something like that for a place like Ames that deserves to have their own local radio station that's talking about the Little Cyclones football team and not the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for a medium like this and for video podcasts, I mean, obviously our best numbers come from the video portion of it. But we do get audio downloads, and that's for people that are running or in the car or whatever else. But for me, I watch most of my stuff. Although I'm working, I think in this day and age, people can multitask so much when they're working and doing different things that I'll have it up on my third monitor and be watching Chris and Chris in the morning, or Murph and Andy, or even Ross and Travis some mornings. And then, I will listen to the podcast, or I'll listen in the car on the way to work of KXNO. I mean, there's enough for everybody, I think, for local media. The biggest thing for me is to support local media, right? Like I had a conversation with John, and he was very kind. And I think I had put something out, that fake song that I put out for Chris and Chris.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And he was like, that was super cool. He's like, you do your own thing, but you still support us. I was like, listen, I mean, I'm not out to take anybody's ad revenue or anything else. There's enough support out there to be able to support local business and local media. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
that's kind of how I feel. And Chris has always been super kind to me, and always giving me his time and things like that. Brent Bloom, all those people. So there's enough room I think, for everybody, to support everybody and boost that local media. It can only get better when you support the local media.
A rising tide lifts all ships, like that. That's why the old saying goes as it does. And as much as I love what we're doing at Cyclone Fanatic, and I believe wholeheartedly that it is the best place for any Cyclone fan to consume Cyclone content, there is also a major need for the Des Moines Register and for the Quad City Times and the Cedar Rapids Gazette, because guess what? I'm wearing a Cyclone shirt right now. I've got Cy tattooed on my ankle. As hard as I can try to be super professional, and I like to think that I do a good job of doing that, and as much as I can be objective when it matters, I still really want the Cyclones to win. Like, really do. If the team loses in Ireland, I'm going to be sick to my stomach. We need we need reporters and we need columnists that don't have that emotional attachment.
Sure.
And maybe not just in sports, but we're still going to need education reporters and political reporters. We don't need all just content creators. Is it more fun to be content creators? Yeah, but eventually, like, we still need hard-hitting journalism. And I think that's just like what you said. That's why we support everything. You don't just support one thing. When you support everything, that money, it just becomes a good ecosystem of advertiser spends on podcast, listener goes and spends on advertisers, and then all that money just goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and you've got yourself a thriving economy. And it's not all about money, but at the end of the day, we all got to make a living. So that is where it comes back to.
There's a chance that whether Iowa State wins or loses in Dublin, might be sick to my stomach.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what the
volume of alcohol that I consume while I'm there may be not safe.
I don't know what the Irish Guinness will feel like, but if it's even like at all similar to American Guinness, yeah, I'll be sick to my stomach that Sunday regardless.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same beer. They're going to serve it differently. It won't be as cold as it gets served here.
I've just heard once I have Guinness in Ireland, I'll never want to have another one in America because it's just not the same.
I wouldn't drink one anywhere. So that's just.
Well, that's because you suck and you think freaking Long John Silver's is the number 2 draft pick.
See, Shipley, so I had somebody a couple weeks ago tell me that I needed to try Long John Silver's again. And
I'm just saying,
I've heard you tonight. I might be sold.
Okay.
Maybe the next time I need to hit up DoorDash at 2 a.m., maybe I'll get some hush puppies
and Silvers, and then I want to report back, Jake.
Okay. You got it.
The next time Jake misses a podcast on Cyclone Fanatic and they say, well, he's just out sick, we'll know he tried Long John Silver's.
Well, I know for a fact that if the Cyclones go to the Final Four, I won't be trying Long John Silver's because the last time I went to a Final Four, I got food poisoning a day before and I missed the national championship game. So we are not reliving that.
Ah.
All right, we got one final segment here, Jake, and then we'll get you the rest of your night back to you. Part of what we do here at Three Beers Media, and that's very passionate for us, is to raise money for charity. We have a lot of fundraisers, things like that. And one of the segments that we have is called the STFU segment, which was famously coined by Steph Copley when she told the host of this show to shut the fuck up so she could finish her thought. And we thought it was so funny, we decided to make it a segment on the podcast. And we asked that you donate to the Young Women's Resource Center in honor of Steph Copley. So the way this works, Jake, is I'm going to play an ad. We'll get a word from Steph. And then when we come back, Aaron and I have to shut the fuck up, and you can say whatever you want about any topic. Nothing's off limits, and we can't interrupt or respond.
I'm in.
Let's hear a word from Steph.
Hey everybody, it's Steph Copley, the woman behind the STFU segment on the Old Man Strength podcast. When I told the guys I wanted to sponsor this segment, they recommended that I make a charitable donation instead, so that's what I did. I chose the Young Women's Resource Center in Des Moines, Iowa. They're a nonprofit that supports, educates, and advocates for girls and young women ages 10 to 24. Their whole goal is to make sure that these young women become strong, self-confident, and successful. And if you know me at all, you know that aligns with my goals as well. If you're interested and would like to donate, check them out at ywrc.org and donate today. And remember, don't forget to STFU and listen every once in a while. Thanks.
Okay, Jake. This is the STFU segment. The floor is yours.
So I might strike a chord or two, and I really, really hope I do, I guess. And I kind of hope that I don't. But I'm over the Savannah Bananas. I'm over it. Completely over it. And I know my responses will be, don't be a fun hater. It's for kids. I know it's for kids. I know it's fun. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy seeing it, but that is not the point. The point is, I love baseball. I will always love baseball. I absolutely love it. I'm a sick person, a very, very sick person, and I probably watch 140 Cubs games a year. I'm sick. And I love sitting down, and whether it's watching the game on TV or listening on the radio while I'm driving around, I absolutely love the precious parts of baseball that I think have gone away. And I like the rule changes. I like the pitch clock because it's not actually taking away any action. It is making the games go quick. But I believe in the conspiracy that the Savannah Bananas are their government ploy to ruin America's pastime and to make baseball more of a TikTok sport, and to make it more about dancing, and to make it more about fast-paced action. And don't get me wrong, everybody likes action, but what the Savannah Bananas are is just it's entertainment. And I think it's supposed to start as entertainment, but I worry that in the next 15 or 20 years, those things are going to merge too close. And eventually we're not going to know the difference. And I think it just goes to show the Cardinals, I don't think they've sold out a game at Busch Stadium since Albert Pujols hit for his 700th home run. They just sold out Busch Stadium 2 nights in a row for the Bananas, and that terrifies me as a diehard baseball fan, that the brain rot generation that I'm included in, and people younger, are going to be more attracted to bat flips and umps dancing than they will be learning about the history of Ernie Banks and watching a game with a hot dog. So that's my STFU segment.
Man, fire. Josh Betts says, I'm a diehard baseball fan. Also, as Jake is, I can appreciate the entertainment the Bananas provide, but I'm a baseball fan, not a Bananas fan.
I love Josh. And it's one of those things where I might feel differently if I had kids. And like, oh, yeah.
That's fair.
But I still feel like, I know that it's been described as, it's the Harlem Globetrotters of basketball.
FYI, I didn't go see them either. I wouldn't pay money to see them or the Bananas. So,
yeah, I feel like there's a bit of a difference between the Globetrotters and the Bananas. And that's where maybe it's just the TikTok thing. It's all about the algorithm.
All right. Well,
I'm glad Betts agrees with me, though.
Can't say anything else about it, Chris. Them's the rules.
Those are the rules. I know. I'm
Jake
not allowed
has spoken.
That's a fun segment. Anytime you can just say something and not get any pushback whatsoever, like that's what this country's all about, right?
We had Steph on as a co-host one time, and Nick Olson was on the pod, and she kept interrupting him when he was giving her answer. And I was like, Steph, you don't even know how your own segment fucking works. You're supposed to shut up. So, it's a fun segment. So
no, that's a blast.
Jake, all right, what can we look forward to? What's coming up on Cyclone Fanatic for you? And what's gearing up for the start of the season?
So we've got this summer series continuing through the end of July. We'll have an interview with John Walters coming up this week. Conrad Hawley, and I saw him on one of your great advertisements earlier. And then we might have a special guest. I don't want to make any promises yet. I might tell you guys off air, but be on the lookout for a fan favorite for the past few seasons.
They haven't been able to make my contract yet, so it's not official.
And then, just football media day. Iowa State football media day is Friday.
Wow.
It is here. So
the camp started today. Is that right?
Camp starts Wednesday.
Okay.
Players report tomorrow. Practice will start Wednesday. And then after that, we've got media day Friday, and we'll pretty much have 2 days a week of talking to players, assistant coaches, and we are not that far from Ireland.
I'm with you, Jake. If we lose that game, I'll be sick to my stomach.
Not losing. Campbell owns climbing.
I fucking hate Kansas State. I hate them with a passion. So,
but yeah, all that on CF to get you let up all the way to football season.
There you go. All right. Well, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Old Man Strength. I'm your host, Chris Shipley, along with Aaron Wall. Check out the rest of the podcast on the Three Beards Media Network. We have Billy and Willie's workshop tomorrow night, every Tuesday night. We have Thursday nights are chair shots and chokeholds. Of course, the guys from Side of the Storm, Brent Curvey, Marcus Pfizer, will be in next week, and then Hawkseye View should be starting next week as well. So, Aaron, you got anything else to close out the show?
No.
That's why he's the best in the business, guys. Nothing better than a closing by Aaron Wall. Jake, appreciate your time. Check out his content on the Cyclone Fanatic Network, and we out of here.
Old man strength, built to last. Try to break me, you won't get past. Ain't no quit, ain't no doubt.